Today is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024, and this is the Dunkley Report International News. Please like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss any of the latest news. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to shut down Al Jazeera's operations in Israel, calling it a terror channel that spreads incitement, after Parliament passed a law clearing the way for the closure. Netanyahu's pledge escalates Israel's long-running feud against Al Jazeera. But it also threatens to heighten tensions with Qatar, which owns the channel, at a time when the Doha government is playing a key role in mediation efforts to halt the war in Gaza. The broadcaster condemned Netanyahu's incitement claim as a dangerous, ludicrous lie. Al Jazeera said it holds Netanyahu responsible for the safety of its staff and offices, and would continue what it described as its bold and professional coverage. South Korea's military says North Korea test-fired a suspected intermediate-range ballistic missile toward waters off its eastern coast, as it pushes to advance its weapons aimed at U.S. targets in the Pacific. South Korea said the missile launched Tuesday flew about 370 miles before landing between the Korean Peninsula and Japan. It didn't whether it had assessed if North Korea had tested the missile at less than its full capacity or used new technologies. Japan said the missile flew about 400 miles and reached an altitude of 62 miles. The North said last month it had tested a solid fuel engine for a hypersonic missile, which, if perfected, could reach the U.S. Pacific military hub of Guam and beyond. When the French Riviera town of Menton prepares to host its Lemon Festival each year, it needs more than 140 tons of citrus for the showy floats and park displays that attract thousands of spectators. But they won't use the actual Menton lemon, a prized variety whose fans included King Louis XIV, who enjoyed drinking its juice and bathing in its essential oils. That's mostly because the high-end lemons are too pricey compared to other varieties. But there would barely be enough, too. The groves that once dominated hillsides have been steadily displaced by hotels and villas as the Riviera became a playground for the wealthy. Now, the declining number of growers worry about climate change, too. On Monday, the Israeli military withdrew from its second devastating raid on Gaza's largest hospital, Shifa, leaving it in ruins, with the walls blown out and frame blackened. Despite the destruction, Israel claimed the battle as a victory in its battle against Hamas militants and said it hadn't harmed civilians sheltering inside the hospital. But accounts from observers on the ground and the World Health Organization tell a different story. They describe a terrifying 2-week raid during which more than a dozen civilians died, and others were brutally detained and trapped inside a facility with dwindling supplies. Russia's top security agency says it has broken up what it called a terrorist cell in southern Russia, whose members had provided weapons and cash to suspected attackers of the Moscow concert hall. The Federal Security Service, or FSB, said that it arrested 4 suspected members of the cell in the Russian province of Dagestan in the North Caucasus on Sunday. The agency alleged that the suspects were involved in channeling funds and providing weapons to the gunmen who attacked the concert hall on Moscow's western edge on March 22nd, killing 144 people in the deadliest attack on Russian soil in 2 decades. The mayor of Colombia's second-largest city is banning prostitution in 2 of the city's most famous neighborhoods for 6 months, saying it's essential to prevent the sexual exploitation of children. Mayor Federico Gutierrez said the ban will be enforced in Provenza and El Poblado, 2 neighborhoods teeming with popular bars and clubs and frequented by thousands of tourists. Sex work is legal in Colombia if it involves consenting adults, but local governments can ban it temporarily from parts of cities if it is deemed a threat to public order. Sex work has grown in Medellin as the city becomes increasingly popular with tourists. Some encounters between tourists and sex workers they met on dating apps have turned violent. Germany has legalized the possession of small amounts of marijuana. The new law took effect Monday. Cannabis campaigners celebrated by lighting up at Berlin's Brandenburg Gate. But not everyone is feeling mellow about it. Doctors and police organizations opposed the law. Germany becomes the 3rd European Union country to legalize cannabis for personal use after Malta and Luxembourg. The new law legalizes possession by adults of up to 25 grams, nearly 1 ounce, of marijuana for recreational purposes, and allows individuals to grow up to 3 plants on their own. That part of the legislation took effect Monday. A group in Taiwan is focusing on seniors as it tries to combat fake news, one conversation at a time. Fake News Cleaner has hosted more than 500 events over 6 years. It has connected with college students, elementary school children, and seniors that are particularly vulnerable. And its representatives are filling up lecture halls as they become a key voice in the effort to rid Taiwan of disinformation. Their particular specialty is older citizens, who are susceptible to a constantly updating technological landscape. As one of the group's co-founders says, they do it because this entire society is being torn apart by bad information. With a population of over 1.4 billion people and close to 970 million voters, India's general election pits Prime Minister Narendra Modi, an avowed Hindu nationalist, against a broad alliance of opposition parties that are struggling to play catch-up. The 73-year-old Modi first swept to power in 2014 on promises of economic development, presenting himself as an outsider cracking down on corruption. Since then, he has fused religion with politics in a formula that has attracted wide support from the country's majority, Hindu population. India under Modi is a rising global power, but his rule has also been marked by rising unemployment, attacks by Hindu nationalists against minorities, particularly Muslims, and a shrinking space for dissent and free media. Huge gains made by the opposition in Turkey's local elections have led to questions about the path the country's long-serving leader will take before the next round of voting in 4 years' time. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's ruling party was outperformed in Sunday's polls as the opposition added to the number of municipalities it gained in 2019. The main opposition party kept hold of Istanbul and the capital of Ankara by wide margins, but also added wins in conservative provinces. Some analysts said on Monday they expect the government to pursue less polarizing policies and try to soothe ties with NATO allies, and also adopt less antagonistic programs at home. Thank you for joining us here at the Dunkley Report International News. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the latest breaking stories.